So people are always saying that fighting is 90% mental, right? So what the hell does that mean?
He clips him behind the head. That's it.
Obviously, it's very physical. It might be the most physical sport in the world. But there is a lot of truth in that statement that fighting is extremely mental, because it doesn't matter how technically superior or physically gifted you are compared to your opponent. If you're not thinking the right things while you're fighting in each moment, the other person has huge opportunities to beat you. There's many people that I've met over the years that are fantastic in the gym, that just slaughter people in the gym. I've seen people in the gym that are whooping George, not whooping George, and I'm talking about GSP, right? Not whooping him, but landing on him and scoring on him. But if they ever fought for real, it wouldn't even be close. Because if you are not on the day, it doesn't matter how good you are. And that's why it's 90% mental. Now, it may be more than 90% mental. It may be a little less. The percentages don't really matter. But we can break this thing down and dissect it a little bit. So there's a couple different aspects that are going to really contribute to you being on the day, to you showing up with 100% of yourself, 100% of your mental capacity, your physical capacity, and those two things working together in a beautiful synergy. The first part of this is preparation. Physically, mentally, doing every single thing that you can think of, that you're aware of, to prepare to be your very best on that day. Now, that could mean doing cardio, right? Like killing your cardio, working your ass off in the gym way harder than you believe your opponent is working. That could mean drilling, spending hours drilling so your technique is perfect. That could mean diet. That could mean making sure that you are putting the ideal foods into your system for you to perform on that day and for you to make the weight the day before. Because if you don't make weight properly, if you're struggling, if your first fight, which I hear a lot of people say this, your first fight is the weigh-in. If the weigh-in is your first fight and your opponent is chilling because his system is just immaculate, his preparation has been perfect and perfected to that date, and you're struggling and you're dying in the sauna, it's going to be a whole different story the next day. So you got to make sure you do absolutely everything you can to prepare, right? In those 8 weeks or 12 weeks or 6 weeks, depending on how long your camp is. What I would do when I was preparing a lot of the time is I would make sure that I had a couple, and I wouldn't do this all the time, not like every single workout needed to be like this, but I would make sure that there were sporadic workouts throughout my camp that were just nuts. These were usually conditioning sessions because you can push the limits a little bit more if you're working on a simple movement like running upstairs, rather than like really trying to push to get everything out in like wall wrestling or something. Wall wrestling's hard, but it's also very dangerous, right? So if you get super tired, you could get injured doing the wall wrestling. I would do this in like a real epic manner, like think of like a movie montage, right? Think of like Rocky. I'm pretty dramatic. I'm a pretty dramatic person. That's okay. To me, that's okay anyway. But because of that, I would create these scenarios that made me feel like I was Rocky, like I was in that fight montage. So I would like get up at like 5 a.m. when it's rainy and go and do hill sprints on this crazy hill and like just give everything, just like red line, like red line to the point of almost before I would tip over the edge and maybe like break down or get sick or get hurt or something. I just push right to that limit, right? And I would do this throughout my camp, not all the time, but what that gave me a real mental edge. Maybe compared to the other person, but I don't know what's going on in their brain. But it would really help me to have faith that I'm going to perform at my best because I know I've done everything I can. I know that I've given my everything in training. And then it's easier for me to perform, to go out and to be free. And really, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to find that freedom from hesitation. The second aspect of this mental preparedness, this mental side to fighting, the psychological aspect of fighting, I liken this to spirituality. Now, some people are religious, some people are not religious, some people believe in a higher power, some people believe in like a God, whatever. Whatever you want to call that power of creation. Now, I would draw on this heavily, and I see many high-level fighters also do the same, right? The Islams, the Khabibs, these guys are very religious, and there's others that would do it in a way that is less religious but serves the same purpose. And that purpose, the purpose of this practice, is to believe that no matter what happens, no matter if you win or you lose out there, that experience is going to serve you to your personal highest good. It's bringing you closer to your destiny, that positive destiny. Because I believe there's two different possibilities and a whole bunch of ranges in between, but two polar possibilities for your destiny. One is the best place you could ever end up if you do everything you can and make all the right choices. And then we have the opposite side of that, which is something like hell. It's a really, really horrible place nobody wants to go to. And if you are able to surrender in that octagon, you are surrendering to the possibility of loss, which also comes with injury. But you are also surrendering to the possibility of winning in a fashion that you might not even believe is possible because it's that good. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but the goal still has to be to let go. Bruce Lee talked about this a lot. Letting go of the outcome of the fight. Surrendering that you don't actually control the outcome of the fight. Because you don't. If you think you do, you're delusional. Because you're not God, right? The other person has a say. And then also, all these other circumstances come into play, right? There's judges, there's referees, there's so many different things that are working together. What do you actually control in the fight? You control your thoughts. You can control the thoughts in your head. Now, that's not an easy thing to do. But you can control your inner speech, or at least your reaction to the inner speech that you're having. And then you control your actions. You control your thoughts. You control your actions. You don't control your opponent's thoughts and actions. You do your best to control their actions, and you may have enough of an understanding of the psychological battle, the mental warfare between the two parties, that you can attempt to control their own thoughts. But truthfully, they have control of that. You don't control the judges. You don't control the referee and what calls they make and what calls they don't make. All of these things play a part. So surrendering that you don't control these things frees you. It frees you from worry. And it allows you to be present, to be now. And this is the third piece. Okay? The third piece to this puzzle is be now. Be here. Fedor talked about this. How when he's walking to the cage, I forget where I saw this, but he talked about how when he's walking to the cage, he's not thinking about the fight. He's not thinking about, oh, what am I going to do to this guy? What's he going to do to me? He's just thinking about every step. Left, right. I'm walking out right now. This is me walking out. Right? When he's getting his hands checked or he's getting Vaseline put on his face before he gets in, right? He's not thinking about the fight. He's not thinking about the guy he's fighting. He's thinking, I am here right now. He thinks about every step. And when I heard that, I really took it to heart, and it made a huge change for me. It freed me from a lot of the hesitation that I had. And it allowed me to perform at a level that I wasn't able to achieve consistently before that. Because when you're worried about what's going to happen in the future, right? When you're worried about the outcome and also what could happen to you, like, are you going to get hurt? What about all the people in the crowd? What are they all going to say? I've had fights. Okay, this is a long time ago, but when I was fighting Rory McDonald, me and Rory fought like way back. We're good friends now, but we fought like 2008 or something like that, 2007 maybe even. It was for the King of the Cage title. We were both on a good trajectory, okay, and it was kind of like the battle for who's going to make to the show first. Spoiler alert, he beat me. He made it to the UFC before I did. Good on him. Now, the reason that he beat me is because in there, mentally, I wasn't there. I wasn't focused on now. I was focused on everything but now. About like, oh, what are these people gonna say if I lose? Because I had talked a whole bunch of trash beforehand. I kind of stopped after that. But I had said a whole bunch of stuff. I actually made a rap song up about this guy. Like, real bad too, real bad rap song. Like, battle rap, you know, this is like my intro for the fight was like this battle rap, like 16-bar verse about Rory McDonald, and like he's like really young at the time, so he's like this nice little like 18-year-old like nice kid, and I'm just like trash talking him. So the crowd hated me, right? And I'm like, oh man, like what are all these people gonna say when I lose to this kid? Like, oh, what about my career? Well, I was gonna go to the UFC, like I don't know if that's gonna happen anymore. Like, do I even want to do this? I'm like on the bottom, like, dove. Do I even want to do this? Maybe I should get a new career. Maybe I should start landscaping. I'm actually thinking this when I'm in the fight, getting punched in the face. And if you're thinking about that stuff, if you're thinking about all of the things that could happen, you're not present. You're not going to make the right decision. If you're thinking about the past and like, oh man, did I prepare enough? Oh man, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can make it for 3 rounds. I don't know if I did enough wrestling during my camp, right? Like I had this other fight with Steve Claveau, and I had expected to be able to outbox this guy really easily. It didn't happen because he came out like wild, just winging shots, and I'm expecting like, oh, I'm just gonna like outpoint him, bing, bing. I'm too slick, you can't touch me. And he would actually hit me because he's not throwing properly. He's just winging wild shots, right? And just making it a real dirty fight. And I was like, oh, and like, so I had to use my wrestling. I had to use wrestling because this guy's just coming in hot. So I'm like, double leg. And the double legs worked and it was all good except for when I get back to the stool in between the rounds, I'm like dying. Like, man, I really don't, I didn't prepare for wrestling. Like, I thought this was going to be a striking fight the whole time. And now I'm like worried about the past and I'm worried about the future and doing everything but being now, that being here. And eventually I figured out that if I can just focus on the next move that I have to do, the next move that's available to me, and think of that in a positive light, that produces the best results. That allows me to be 100% of myself. That allows me to make decisions very quickly, and the right decisions, or at least a decision that puts me in a better direction than I was in. When I was able to do that, huge difference, complete difference. I went from being like on sometimes, off sometimes, to always being on. To when I lost, it was like, oh, I got caught sometimes, yeah. But I would never get beaten. I would never get mentally defeated because all I was thinking about is next move. The guy takes me down. I'm not like, oh man, he just took me down. I didn't want this to happen, right? Thinking about the past. I get taken down. I'm like, oh, perfect. This is a beautiful opportunity for me to work my guard attacks, for me to work to tie him up and ground and hit him with elbows. Then he postures, boom, perfect place for me to go under and go into his legs. No matter what happens, doesn't matter if I got hit. It's like, oh yeah, okay, now he's thinking that right hand's gonna land again. He's gonna go there. I'm already planning the counter, right? I look at every single thing that happens in the fight, positive or negative, as positive and as my opportunity to work that specific area of my game. Now, if you guys have any ideas on how to be on the day, any mental tricks that you guys have figured out. I know some of you are fighters watching this. I know some of you are just fans. But a lot of this, fighting is like life, right? So if you have anything that makes sure that you are on every day that's important, drop a comment, right? Let me know, because I will implement more stuff. This is what I figured out. But if you guys have any other ideas, I will implement it into my program. I'm still learning. And that's the whole purpose of this, right? This is for me, I'm a little bit selfish. This is for me to learn from you by sharing with you and getting feedback. You never stop learning. Okay, so I hope that you guys were able to learn something today from this. If you did, drop a like, comment, okay, subscribe, hit the little bell so you get all of our content. Okay, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. We're never gonna stop. All right, I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.